Hey everyone, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This is the show all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager, a farmer, or a food producer selling at farmers markets, or just a curious farmers market shopper, this is the podcast for you. Our guest this week is Sagdrina Jalal, founding executive director of the Georgia Farmers Market Association. Sagdrina works hard to provide support and education for farmers market managers in Georgia and across the country as a member of the board of directors of the Farmers Market Coalition. In our conversation with Sagdrina, we discussed the pros of participating in a farmers market association, some of the challenges market managers face, and the importance of education for farmers market managers and vendors. Hey, I'm one of your hosts, Bridget Myers. I've spent years as an on-site farmers market manager, and I've done it all from pulling permits to vetting vendors.
I'm another one of your hosts, Justine Marzoni-Mead, farmers market vendor, hot sauce maker, and event facilitator for the Intense Conference.
And I'm Kat Fields-White, director of San Diego Markets, still popping up farmers market tents, and founder of Intense Business.
Welcome back to Tent Talk. This week, we are joined by Sagdrina Jalal, founding executive director of the Georgia Farmers Market Association, a statewide organization led by farmers, farmers market managers, and other local food advocates. GFMA seeks to support communities in growing healthy local food systems and foster pathways to equitable food access. She is also a board member of the National Farmers Market Coalition. When she's not working hard on the behalf of local food producers, Sagdrina can be found studying herbalism at Chestnut School of Herbal Medicine or brewing kombucha at home. We are so excited because Sagdrina will also be joining us at the 2019 Intense Conference in February.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good. So this is Justine, and I'm here with Kat and Bridget.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Kat.
Hi, Sagdrina. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Good. Long time no see.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
Me too.
Yeah.
Is it cold there?
It is, and we're not happy about it.
You don't want us to talk about the sun shining and me that I'm wearing flip-flops?
San Diego.
Okay, so Sagdrina, we're just going to start. We'd love to hear a little just about your background, where you're from, and how you became interested in farmers markets.
So I am what I call the quintessential Georgia girl. I was born in Fort Gordon, Georgia, which is a military base near Augusta. And I was raised in Savannah until I went and graduated from the University of Georgia in Athens, and I currently live in Atlanta. So I've kind of lived and experienced just about anything that our state has to offer. However, I became interested in farmers markets after I experienced a health crisis, and that prompted a quest for fresh and nutrient-dense food. And really, I was looking for like the best that I could get my hands on. And I stumbled across the market in my community, and I met an amazing farmer who just changed my life. He was just very knowledgeable about the nutrients that the food that he was growing offered. He specialized in microgreens. So for me, trying to address my health, it was like an answer, to a prayer. And and from there, my love affair and appreciation for all things local started.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of amazing how quickly you can become radicalized once you experience the farmers market. That is something for me when I started in the farmers markets. I was like, whoa, how did I not know this before? And there's kind of no going back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So how did you end up specifically at the Georgia Farmers Market Association?
So, I really kind of stumbled into the work as well. I was just amazed at how much information was, available, or really just kind of the opportunity to achieve optimal health. I felt it was there, but nobody knew. And so I started just kind of talking to more farmers, and I realized that like there was this amazing wealth of knowledge. Some of them, had educated themselves and were familiar with the nutrient content of the food that they grew, and others didn't, which was, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are like, healing people. You don't even know it. And uh, and so I initially just kind of wanted to share, and my degree's in education. So I started writing just a little bit. I just started doing blogs and about my visits to markets and my experience with farmers, and that just little by little, one of my wellness clients. I was a health and wellness coach at the time, and she, just said, why don't we start an organization? And so the initial organization that we started was called Project Generation Gap, and it was based in our county. And we were approached by a group of farmers and market managers who had been meeting and calling themselves the Georgia Farmers Market Association, but they didn't have any organizational structure. So they asked if we would join forces with them and bring our structure to the table. And we applied for a farmers market promotion program grant, and we received it. And that's how we started the association.
Oh, that's great. Those grants are so important. It's apparently they've made it through the Farm Bill so far. Mm-hmm. So we'll probably know in the next couple of days if they're going to hang in there. But yeah, FMPP grants are so important. That's great. So you're a 501c3?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
We are.
Okay, good. And how many members do you currently have? How many markets?
We have just over 50 markets in our network that are members and connected with us. We just started our membership campaign, so we're looking for those numbers to go up. But that's about the number of markets that we represent in the state.
And do you have members that are not markets? Do you do supporting members? Do you do individual vendor or farmer?
Yeah.
Members?
Yes, we do. So we have, in 2018, we had a total of a little under 200 members total. So we have a farmer membership. We also have a kind of like a corporate sponsor / community partner level membership. And this year we are starting what we're calling a food advocate sustainer member. And that's an opportunity for us to engage shoppers at markets and other local food enthusiasts around the idea of getting connected in a deeper way to who grows their food and the policies surrounding the food. So more of an advocacy role, and we're asking them to kind of serve to help us sustain our programming and our support to growers and to our market leaders.
Yeah, I think that's so smart. I've seen a few farmers market organizations in the country. I think Chicago does it, New York does it with their Union Green Market program, where it's kind of a Friends of the Farmers Market membership, so that consumers can get involved, which is great. So what kind of benefits does membership supply to market members? So a market as an organization that joins, what do they get out of it?
So our standard membership provides markets a pass-through connection or membership to Georgia Grown, which is the Georgia Department of Agriculture's branding and marketing program. So they're able to utilize the branding and connect with the website that Georgia Grown has that connects them to people that want to know where markets are located in our state. And then they also receive a membership into Farmers Market Coalition. And that, as I'm sure you guys have talked about before, just has amazing resources for market leaders, just a database and wealth of knowledge and tools. And in addition, we also offer free and discounted trainings to all of our members, including our outreach curriculum, Nourish. And we also offer Taste of African Heritage. It's a course that's offered through Old Ways. And new this year, we have a fellowship program that market leaders can apply to be a part of and receive a stipend for their participation.
Oh, wow.
Oh, great. So how does that work?
So it's in partnership with Wholesome Wave Georgia.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so our goal really is to engage markets around, just having a kind of a common I guess maybe value or best practice model for our state, and specifically engaging all parts of community and increasing the number of shoppers at markets, and paying attention to those who maybe are not normally at markets, don't shop at markets regularly, and making sure that we're creating warm environments and inviting spaces. So we it's a 9-month experience. We partnered with the FMM Pro program. I don't know if you guys out of New York, the Market Manager Certification program.
Right.
And so we kind of layer that with webinars and face-to-face sessions where they have an opportunity to collaborate on everything from creating marketing materials to vendors, resourcing the different resources that they use to find vendors from year after year, to kind of vetting vendors together. And so we've just kind of created the initial, this is the first cohort of fellows, and they are really enjoying their networking opportunity. They're looking at doing some fundraising together. And so it's been really neat.
That's amazing. Have you been able to measure what kind of success folks are having from being members of the organization? Like, do you see, it's a market that joins Georgia Farmers Market Association. Do you measure to see if they now have more vendors, or if their income model changes, or if they are getting more shoppers out?
Yeah, so we have a resource that we use through Farmers Market Coalition, the Market Metrics.
Great.
Mm-hmm. And so with our Nourish program, we have a train the trainer part of it where we introduce some outreach strategies. We have a pretty big emphasis in that training on doing food demonstrations and also developing partnerships in the community to increase shoppers at the market. And then during a 12-week period during the summer, our markets, they record the data, the day of market data, as well as some other factors like the number of SNAP sales, as well as, just the types of engagement that they are offering at the market, outreach that they're doing in the community. And we've seen a tremendous increase in the number of both just return shoppers in general, and SNAP and EBT sales.
That sounds great. Do you mostly have members in Atlanta, in the big metropolis kind of markets, or more small rural markets? We have markets as far north as the Georgia-Alabama line, all the way down to closer to Florida, Waycross area. So we have markets all over. I mean, Atlanta certainly has our largest concentration of farmers markets and members for sure. But we're really pleased to say that we have very strong representation all over the state. And my hometown, Savannah, is one of our biggest cheerleaders and supporters, and it's an amazing market. Yeah, so they have such amazing markets there. They're not enormous, but they're just so vibrant, and the people there, the managers and the vendors and the farmers, are just also engaged, it seems like. One of the things that you see sometimes at state organizations or local organizations of markets is that market managers are reluctant to talk to one another because they feel like they're competitors. Do you see much of that at the Georgia Farmers Market Association, or are you finding that folks are really communicating amongst themselves?
Yeah, so we saw a lot of that in the beginning, but I think we've worked really hard in Georgia to create a community within the association. And, this idea that when we work together and when we kind of try to address everybody's needs, then we are all better for it. So I think we've been successful. I mean, this cohort that's working on now, the fellowship program, they are so supportive of each other. They have their own little Facebook group, and they, ask for recommendations in terms of vendors, or they, post job opportunities. I mean, they're very supportive and work together really well.
That's great.
That's awesome. So when you do the training with as someone who trains market managers and is involved with that, what are some qualities do you think a successful market manager should have? What are some things that you all find yourself talking about with market managers as far as qualities go?
Yeah, so I've been considering getting a tattoo on my wrist that says pivot. I think that's like the single greatest and most important attribute a market leader can have. From ever changing like political climates and regulatory changes, you have to be agile and willing to shift seemingly seamlessly with a smile on your face. And so with that, I think a sense of humor is also key. Don't take yourself too seriously and have Teflon skin. That's what I say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some challenges that you think, besides not being able to pivot, but what are some challenges that you notice market managers face, like when they come to you and want to discuss issues, or people that are discussing amongst themselves in Facebook groups? What are some things that you see that are challenging for them as market managers?
So in our region, the role of market manager is often misunderstood by just about every audience they serve.
Not just there.
Not just there. We have that here.
So, we find that folks typically don't understand that running the actual market is only a fraction of the work that they do, and that for many of our managers, it's typically a 7-day-a-week job that they never truly walk away from most weeks of the year. So, I think that's where a lot of the fatigue, frustration, and burnout comes in. And sometimes that's, particularly evident in their relationship with vendors. That seems to be a challenge that they talk about a lot. Is like they feel they bear the brunt of some of the frustrations that vendors feel, particularly in our more rural areas. Just, they have really great days, and then sometimes they're not so great days. And market managers have a tendency, I think, to feel at least like they have the ownership for that. And so, I would say that's their biggest challenge.
Yeah, as a market manager, I think I'd have to agree with you on that. And that's usually one of the issues that we talk about amongst ourselves, is how can we support the vendors and, be there for them and understand that they're also running their all small business without getting constant, they're just frustrations dumped on us all the time, because it does burn people out. And we see market managers, leave the industry because it's so hard to take that on week after week.
It's tough to learn to not take it personally.
Yeah,
just because
exactly.
the vendor's in a bad mood. You know what? They've got a lot resting on their shoulders. It's not about you as a manager. It's
exactly.
that they're scared. They're frustrated. They're trying to pay their mortgage. So.
Yeah. So having that outlet. Since we get a lot of questions from people who are looking to start their own farmers market, or maybe they're a vendor and they're asking, how do I transition from being a vendor to starting a farmers market or taking over as a manager? So what are some things, what are some mistakes that you see beginning farmers market managers make, or what are some things that people that are just starting a market can do to get off on the right foot when they're starting to take over or to manage a market?
So it's interesting. I was just talking to someone in North Carolina that's thinking about starting a state association, I think. And we were having a really great conversation about how important it is to know the area that you're looking to support or to provide the access to local food, understand what they really are willing to support. I think a lot of people get very excited, whether it's a vendor or just someone who's just very enthused about local food, like I was when I got started. And, we don't really consider that our needs may not represent the full spectrum of the needs of the community. So I would say a really good examination, feasibility study, readiness assessment, so maybe maybe even considering the current assets in the community that could support the effort, to really kind of put together a really solid plan. I think maybe seeing a market as a business is really important before you get into it, and kind of approaching it in some of the same ways, I think is important.
Absolutely. I think we hear that kind of often. It's don't just plant your idea of a market on this corner that you think is busy and great. You need to assess the community's interest and whether or not it's going to be sustainable, because when markets are popping in and out of neighborhoods, it doesn't reflect well on markets as a whole. We want to be something that comes in and does a service and really brings something to the community and stays there for the long run. So
and don't say, oh, I've got this courtyard in my new development, and wouldn't it be pretty to have a farmer's market there? Wouldn't it give people a great place to take selfies?
We say that's not a market, is not a prep.
That's right.
What advice would we give to struggling farmers markets that don't have a farmers market association to help them out? Because it sounds like you guys have a great association, but I know that's not, relevant for everybody. So what are some things that they can do if they don't have that association to help them?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say the resources that Farmers Market Coalition offers, just kind of some of those core basic business tools, I think is tremendous. Getting engaged in some of the other online kind of platforms, chat rooms, Facebook groups around markets. But I mean, I think in just like closer to home, I would reach out to another market or a couple of markets that are in your state or in your region and just get some information and support that way. I think it's really important to not try to go at it alone. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of the Farmers Market Coalition, Sagdrina, can you tell us a little bit about your role with FMC and what you do, and for our listeners that aren't super familiar with the Farmers Market Coalition, just tell us a little bit about that group.
Sure. So the Farmers Market Coalition is kind of like the national representing body for, I would say, direct distribution of food at farmers markets specifically, but definitely has the interest of growers and other vendors at markets as well as consumers. So this has been my first year serving on the board. I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary. And so the focus has been largely on the Farm Bill, which has been a really interesting time to join the board. I told you guys I stumbled into this, and I certainly did not expect to be doing any kind of policy type stuff. It goes with the territory, and it turns out I really enjoy it, and it's been really interesting. So we had one of our meetings was in person. I think one meeting a year is in person, and we were able to go and speak with our state legislators and policymakers and really try to influence not just what's in the bill, but the language surrounding it, which is really important. And being from Georgia, there was a lot of, need for me to really speak to not just the needs of our state, but just like farmers in general. And they did an amazing farmer fly-in to raise awareness, on Capitol Hill around the needs of farmers. They actually had farmers come in. We had a couple of farmers from Georgia fly in to talk to legislators as well. So it's a really great organization that I think, is behind the scenes oftentimes, really working hard on behalf of sustainable agriculture and, like I said, growers, markets, all of us.
That's awesome. And yeah, so we're talking about some super current affairs. This episode is going to be coming out maybe even before the Farm Bill is voted on, which is kind of going on in Congress this week. But since you are an advocate for farmers markets and work closely with Farmers Market Coalition, what is an area that you see a need for change in policy, either related to the Farm Bill or elsewhere?
Sure. Well, I'm happy to see that the current version of the Farm Bill does not alter SNAP benefits or change the eligibility for the programs in any significant way. And I'm especially happy that it allows for now, because this is a change, for the use of one SNAP EBT machine to be able to be used at multiple markets.
Oh, hallelujah.
Oh, that'll be nice.
As somebody that maintains and charges and moves around 3 different machines. Yes. That'll be awesome.
It's just like the most nerve-wracking. It's
right?
not that big of a deal, but it's such a big deal. And this summer when we had the Nova Dia threat, I know it did not get affected California as much, but Georgia, it was really scary for a minute there. And we were just very frustrated because we were like, are you kidding me? Like, we could solve this. Again, we have this community of market managers who know each other and will support each other if we could, if we had that flexibility a little bit. So, so I was incredibly happy to hear that that's there, and that certainly needs to change. So I hope everything goes through as planned.
Great.
Yeah, it's sounding like a pretty good version of the bill where it is now. They haven't done a lot of horrible things. They've left most of the good stuff in there. It sounds like it's still going to have some support for young farmers, small farmers, new farmers, which is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, our tattoo that we're talking about getting on our wrist here is, we've always thought that we're going to get a tattoo for our whole team that says, "Our job is weird," because running farmers market, there's something new every day, every minute. So.
Well, I think since we're gonna this episode's gonna come out just at the end of the year, and we are talking about what we're kind of closing up at the end of our year here and holiday stuff, but then the new year is right around the corner. So our wrap-up question for this episode today is, what is your farmers market New Year's resolution? So that can be any number of things, but we'll kind of go around and answer here, and then I'll come back over to you for your answer. But Justine, what's your New Year's resolution as a vendor at a farmer's market?
So mine is very, very practical. I'm a pretty pragmatic person. But, so mine is going to go through all of the stuff that we load in and load out of our truck every three times a week. Mm-hmm. It's just stuff that has accumulated in our Tupperware containers. I'm just going to clean out all those bins and wipe down our display, maybe get a new tablecloth, just do some kind of renovation and cleaning of all of our farmers market items that have gotten a little scuzzy over the last 3.5 years.
What being in and out of the car and outside in the weather does that to your equipment?
The worst is when it rained pretty heavily a couple weeks ago, and so all of our stuff is just still weirdly wet, just because we have to pack it up and put it away, and our truck kind of smells weird. So I just need to do some cleaning.
Yeah. Hanging out to dry for a little bit.
Yeah,
a little spring cleaning. That's always a good idea. I feel like a lot of vendors have that, where it's what is in this tub? Or they'll go to grab a pen when I'm coming around to collect their check, and they're hang on, and they're just digging in this box of some toothpicks and some old jars that I know they don't even use anymore with their products. So that's a good one.
Our money box is filled with random buttons and business cards and just broken pens and iPhone chargers that don't work.
Yeah. They fill up. Kat, what's something that you are going to focus on in 2019?
Well, on the business side, a couple of things. On the Intense Conference side, we're actually going to create some more online education resources. So I've had a few people ask us about that, so we're going to work on that. But at the markets themselves, our big goal in 2019 is to make our payment system easier for our farmers and vendors and our staff. So we're looking at it now, and we're seeing that even our older farmers, a lot of them are using the Square. Apparently they do have credit cards. They can deal with online things. And so we're going to try to convert from those little handheld receipts and collecting at the markets and move it over to see how much of it we can do online or automate as ACH kind of payments and that kind of thing. I was amazed to be in the UK this summer and find that at farmers markets there, they were handwriting receipts at the market. So it's apparently all over the world we're still doing this really analog thing. And I'm going to try and figure out a way to make that a little more efficient. Like most markets, we have to look at credit card processing fees because we work for government agencies and things. So it's not quite as obvious as it would seem, but that's our big goal.
I think that's a great goal.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think one of my major resolutions as well, because I work with Kat, is the education and just sharing all this knowledge that we have. We do a monthly Vendor 101 course, and people are just constantly asking us do more, or how can we tap into this later? Or I came down from Orange County to take your class here, but I might go back up there to do market. So what am I supposed to do? So it's more tapping into that online course availability because people really need it and they want it, and we have the knowledge, and I just feel that's enough. We've been hoarding it for too long, and we need to put it out there. Right. And then really getting more consistent with social media and using that more. We have a beautiful social media. We've people that have worked for us that have really like taken wonderful pictures, and we have a great network where we all tag each other and everything, but just kind of getting a better plan around that and using that to its full potential, because that's a big opportunity for farmers markets as managers, and also, you know, helping to educate vendors and farmers how they can use it, and getting our shoppers involved, because that's a great way to kind of keep that network going and to keep the farmers markets afloat and just get the word out. So focusing on that. Sagdrina, what are some things that you have in mind for the new year?
We're really focused right now on our sliding scale CSA farmers market hybrid called Just Food. It allows us to guarantee sales to farmers, as well as provide local food, the best of the best, in communities where it would not normally be. And so my resolution is to host 2 of these markets. We had a pilot version of it. Actually, we had a pilot earlier this year, and then we also had a pop-up in the city of Atlanta. So we're real excited about the opportunity to host it. And so I have a resolution to host 2 this year in Atlanta communities.
So is that program, are you kind of taking the farmers market and coming up against the meal kit delivery people and the imperfect produce delivery people and those guys?
Well, you know, I hadn't really thought about it like that. But yes.
Yeah. Okay then.
Okay. You know, really for me, it's really just about increasing food access. Like, I don't know that any of those folks are interested in the communities that we're looking at serving, to be honest with you. You know, definitely not the meal delivery people. You know, that's something that's huge here in Atlanta, but it's interesting. I was just talking to the Atlanta Regional Commission has a map of like food deserts, and it's right along like the MARTA lines, and it's also like in areas that have been just revitalized, gentrified, however you want to look at it. And but we still have food deserts, and it's because as certain populations are increasing, you know, these amazing ways of accessing food, other populations are, you know, having harder times. So yeah, but what's really inspiring is that we are finding that in these communities where you've got like tremendous gaps in experiences when it comes to income and economics, they are so willing and excited to support their neighbors and to create community around food. So we're super excited to bring a model that kind of addresses that for everybody.
That's great.
Yeah, that sounds like a great goal.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that. Well, it was really great to talk to you, and it sounds like I would like to learn more about what you do with training market managers. It interests me just because I feel like it's not something that a lot of people do. So I'm really thankful that you were on the podcast today.
And we'll be here in February.
Yeah, we're excited to hear your training that you're going to be doing at the Intense Conference.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I mean, it wasn't a hard sell coming our weather, and coming to California in February was like, okay, I'm in. Yep.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we scheduled that conference by design. We figure it's not too hard to talk people into coming from other parts of the country to San Diego the end of February.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent.
Thanks, Sagdrina. See you soon.
Thanks. Hey, thanks for listening along. Please leave us a review on iTunes and tell us how you liked today's episode. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you won't miss the next one. And if you want more farmers market tips, you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter at intensebusiness.com and follow us on Instagram at intensebusiness. That's INTENTS business. We're so excited because Sagdrina will be leading a talk at the Intense Conference on educating tomorrow's leaders. The 2019 Intense Conference will be held in San Diego on February 24th through the 26th. Sagdrina will be there. Will you?
This podcast is produced by Intense Business, where passion meets profit. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Justine Marzoni-Mead. Original music by David Mead. Special thanks to our guest Sagdrina Jalal and San Diego Markets.